What does Texas need to improve on during the bye week? So this is a question I pose to everyone in the audience. Leave your comments in the comments section of this video as well. Gerald, what do you think Texas needs to improve on during the bye week?
Yeah, I think Texas needs to, one, I think get your running backs healthy. I still don't think that Quintravian Weiser and CJ Baxter are both even close to 100% at this point. And I think you're going to need them in these next couple of games. So like, that's kind of a cheater answer, but I think getting, especially those guys healthy, getting them up to speed. I think about Michael Taft getting healthy as well. So like, one, like get those bodies prepared, spend enough time in the trainer's room. Why can't I come up with the word trainer? Right. Spend as much time as you can in the training room, get your treatment, get those things taken care of. I think the other thing I really want to see Texas improve on here is just continue to get that offensive line unit like reps and get them into a rhythm, get them to a point where, I mean, we've still seen this offense get tripped up with simulated coverages and with simulated pressures. And that's what Georgia's going to do. Georgia's going to bring a bunch of simulated stuff. They're going to try to confuse the offensive line. They're going to try to confuse, they're going to try to confuse Arch Manning. And so, like, I think spending time focusing on that specifically. And then also, I think with that, really like just cleaning up penalties, cleaning up, the disciplinary stuff. I disagree with both of the false start penalties from Sunday, but you got to make yourself undeniable, right? If you don't flinch, they can't call it. If you grab the guy quick enough when he gets in the neutral zone, it's encroachment and not false starts. Like those things where it's wild thinking about how a month ago we were ready to write off Texas as like a lost season. And now I feel like all of the stuff I need from them in the bye week is like the fine tuning stuff that takes them from good to great.
Yeah, I mean, I actually agree with that. I think it is like fine tuning things, take them from good to great. And penalties, I haven't checked where we're at recently, but 2 weeks ago we were the second worst team in the SEC. I don't know if we've improved that much on that. I know we've gotten better the last couple of weeks, but that is still something we need to fine tune, especially again, going on the road to Athens in a place where they've only lost one time in 5 years, basically.
Yeah.
You can't commit, let's say 8+ penalties. They commit 3 or 4. We're not winning that football game if that happens. We're not a good enough football team to do that. We're going to have to win on the margins of those type of games. So I completely agree with that. Catching the ball is like one of the main things I wrote down. This team has struggled with drops. And was it better versus Vanderbilt? Absolutely. Ryan Wingo, the first pass of the game, the little swing pass, he actually caught it with his hands out front of him. Now, I will say it was awkward as hell looking. Like it did not look natural for him at all. He's like put his hands out like this, and it kind of just fell into him. So got to get better with that, especially, he's going to even want to catch with his body more now with the thumb injury. That's going to be very interesting to see because that's going to hurt when he does catch the ball. That looked pretty nasty. Luckily, he does get a week to recover, or 2 weeks basically before he plays another football game. And Sark said he's probably going to give him the whole week off, and I probably agree with that. I don't really see the benefit of practice that much if your thumb's that messed up. But we got to get better with that. Parker Livingston had the one versus Mississippi State and the one in this game, the one versus Mississippi State. Jumps, goes through his hands, intercepted. The other one goes up with one hand over the middle. You didn't need to go up with one hand. It was right in front of you. You could easily go like this instead of this. So got to catch the ball when it's thrown to you. Number 2, we already talked about it. Communication on the back end. It's got to get better. You cannot give up these chunk plays versus an A&M versus Georgia. Again, you will get beat. You might be able to win the game, come back versus Mississippi State. You might be able to win the game, come back versus come back versus Kentucky. You might be able to survive Vanderbilt making a quick run at the end of the game. Not going to be able to do it versus Georgia and A&M, especially in A&M. And if you're giving up deep shots to A&M, we can just go home because Mario Craver is going to be going for 200 yards just like he did versus Notre Dame, and it's not going to look pretty whatsoever. And then run blocking. Pass blocking was great in the game versus Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Run blocking was still not good enough. I don't know if it can be improved at this point. It's kind of late in the season to where this is the offensive line going forward. We'll see if they can work on that during the bye week. I think personally, I don't know what to do here because I would say outside zone, but the thing is Georgia destroyed our outside zone last year. We cannot run an outside zone at all. So that's going to be interesting, the run scheme they come up with to face Georgia. Maybe they do just go outside zone, see what happens this year because Georgia isn't as good up front. They just aren't. They were much better up front last year with Michael Williams and Jalen Walker. They don't have those guys. Those type of guys are freshmen on their team this year, and they're not ready to make the impact yet. Next year, that's a different discussion. And then you go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
And then sticking with 11 personnel again, please. When I thought we were past it, I did, and then I heard Sark's comment after the game, and I was like, dude, you were really going to go 12 personnel until you saw the first two drives. So I'm like, okay, that's not good because that is still sticking with your scheme. And like you and I have said, we have said, stop making it what you want it to be and actually do what it is. And if you stick with 11 personnel, I am confident. I think we can score 3-4 touchdowns on anyone in the country with 11 personnel. Go back to 12 personnel. We're not, guys. We're not winning out with 12 personnel. Let's put it that way. At best, we're 8-4, and I don't even feel confident versus Arkansas if we're going to go 12 personnel, honestly. So we have to stick with that, please. That's like the main thing for me. If we stick with that, we have a chance in every one of these games.
Yeah, and I wonder, how much Steve Sarkisian is not really one to let a ton of input into his scheming sessions, but I wonder what that process is like, what that conversation is like. Like, how does he get, because I feel like Arch is at a point where he's going to say, yeah, I love this. Like that's what we've said. You said it already, said it really well, but I always talk about Steve Sarkisian wants to should this offense, and it's not how it is. That's not what you have your idea of what it should be, but that's not what it is, right? And good coaches, good offensive coordinators, good defensive coordinators tweak the scheme to fit the players that you have. Again, going back to that would frustrate me. Going back to that would be counterproductive, maybe. It would definitely run counter to what they're doing. And I think we'll know pretty early on what Steve Sarkisian's plan is. This Georgia game feels like a classic Sark overthinker, it just does. So I don't know what is going to happen with that group, but I think, ultimately this kind of bye week for me really does feel like self-scouting and get healthy. Self-scout, get healthy. What are your tendencies? What has Georgia been doing? And then be prepared for them to go completely against tendency, because that's what they did last year. It caught Texas off guard. So what are teams doing to you that are giving you the biggest problems? Again, in my mind, it's simulated pressures. Those things really eat up this front. So that to me is something if one thing happens this week, it's really brush up on how do we deal with simulated pressures? Who's calling what? How are we looking? Just block the inside gap. That's the easiest way to do it. Just block the inside gap. Nobody looking for work. Just block the inside gap. Go into your pass set. That to me, maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but it seems like it should be pretty simple.
No, it should be. You're playing in Division I football at Texas. It should be simple enough. My last thing was red zone offense. I will say the last 2 weeks has elevated us pretty well. We've done a really good job in red zone. We're 76 in the red zone scoring. Honestly, if you stay around that range, I would like to move up into the 50s, honestly. But if we stay in the 60 to 80 range, I'm cool with that. That'd be an improvement over the last 2 years. But those are my main takeaways. And again, number one for me is going to be sticking with 11 personnel. I just don't see at this point, we've been calling on this channel, for about 3 to 4 weeks for 11 personnel, but 5 to 6 weeks, I've been saying no under center stuff. And they finally got away from that, 2 to 3 weeks ago. And it's mostly shotgun and pistol. So again, now it's time for him to be not stubborn with that as well. Just stick with 11, run it out of shotgun, run it out of pistol. And I think this offense will be just fine moving forward.
I think you're absolutely right. It's get Arch in position to be comfortable and do what he wants to do, and things will go well for you.
And last thing, get healthy, because Jelani McDonald, I think Sark said, probably wouldn't play if we had a game this week because he had a concussion. Ryan Wingo with the thumb probably wouldn't play this week with his thumb. Taft, I think Taft probably would play this week, honestly. I think he was basically going to play last week and they held him out. But overall, if we can get as healthy as possible going to Georgia, I think we got a shot in that game. This is not an invincible Georgia team. They can definitely be gotten. They've been in close games throughout the whole season. And this helps us, guys. Mississippi State, I think, on the road this week, I'm just going to say I think they can beat Georgia. We'll see about that, but I think they can definitely give them a game.
I don't know if beating Georgia before Texas has to play would be a good thing or a bad thing, because I think about all those zombie Bama teams, and I think there's a zombie Georgia in there as well. So I don't know. It's scary.
How about 10 overtimes?
I would love that. Give me a letdown situation coming out of that. Beautiful.
Again, guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. Let us know what you think Texas needs to improve on during the bye week. We really appreciate you guys tuning in.